Hi Russ.
Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Do you
You
do
hear
you hear
me?
me?
I hear you. I hear you. It's way better.
Okay, I see you, but I don't know if you hear me. Hi, how are you?
Yes, yes, I hear you. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
A ver.
Thanks for
I hear you.
joining.
Yes, you hear me?
Yes, it's perfect. I hear you.
Okay. Well,
It's
hi
perfect.
everybody. Sorry for it was raining here in Umay, and so the connection is not very well. But I
Yes.
think it's better now.
Yes, it's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I made a very short introduction about you, but we would like to hear from yourself. Can you talk a little bit about yourself and your hotel, your practice, Roth architecture, and who is Russ Niera?
Well, I'm part of a tribe, and everything we do as a tribe together,
Hmm. Yes.
trying to put the people out of the area of comfort. So we have some architects doing farming in Amazonia,
Hmm.
and I have my uh, pool boy directing um, the models area. And so we do a lot of initiatives. We do architecture. We are building our third art contemporary art museum here in Umay, and we do fashion, we do ceramic, we do crystal blowing, we do macrame, but we do without putting people in areas they don't are a specialization in. For example, our chef that is 23 years old designed some dishes and he cooked it in the ceramic in our ovens, and Christian Dior selected it for the corporate gift. Other guy who was picking up seaweed on the beach has the opportunity to command the bejuco area. This is the vine we use, and
Yes.
he is not only he was never went to school. He has 20 years old. The only thing he knows is pick up seaweed, and he become the leader of the area with 200 people under his command. And he's a creator, he's a manager, he's a leader. So this is the way we work, putting people in condition of uncertainty that in areas that they are not expertise on, because what we expect to do is not to create something with the knowledge we bring from before,
Hmm. Hmm.
not from the memory, not for what we have learned, but confident that if we take out ourselves from the equation, we can be able to connect and liberate some form, uh, born some form, and so we have to put the ego outside and just play. So
Yes.
this is the process we use.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've gained a world fame with your project Azulik. Can you talk about can you talk about this project and what you've built there? A
Well,
paradise.
I I I think that most or what is the how, what is interesting.
Yes.
I will uh, sometimes I don't have time during the day to think in architecture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very busy, and but I dream normally with forms of architecture. Thanks for
Yes.
the plants I have experience with. I have a lot of lucid dreams with plants. So for example, one day I have an idea and I say, okay, I will make this idea I dream. So we went all together to the jungle, but suddenly I see that what I have dreamed doesn't apply for the situation because the trees, because of the condition of the floor. I say, well, what I will do? And there are perhaps 400 people there waiting, and they answer, what we will do? And I say, have not idea. I have not idea of what we will do. This is the
Yes.
way we work with our works. We work for other people. We use a more traditional way with models and finally plans and everything. But what we can do using our process is that we arrive to the place, we make a little ceremony. We has permission for the visible and invisible beings there. And after I say that I have no idea what to do, the people laughed. So everybody laughed. And something magical happened in this moment because the people have no more fear, because when you laugh, you connected and you are playfulness. And this is how the things can be done and the magic can happen. So what we start doing is that we use plastic tubes that is used in the electric as an electric device. They're perhaps 50 feet long, and we start putting this in between the trees because we don't cut any tree. In my house, I have 200 trees alive.
Impressive.
That better is to say that I am incorporate my way of living in between the trees because the trees come from before. We respect them. We develop inside the house. Even when the chlorophyll is made on top, out of the house, they make leaves inside because it's a collaborative system. So we are in relationship with them. And when we finally disappear, the trees will continue to be living here. So in the place, we put the lines, the plastic lines, and little by little, the form start appearing. But this incentivizes the creativity of everybody because as long as everybody knows that we don't have an idea, everybody plays. So if you have 400 people playing, is something, in any moment, something beautiful can happen. For instance, one day I was with an architect that will be trained in this system. I had to say that we never turn down anything. Everything we build is, we respect it. So we don't try and make a mistake and turn it down. So one day we discovered that some strange structure will be done near our principal structure. And I asked the architect, you do that? And he said, no, I didn't. So who did it? So we asked, and some people there that work in the structure say, I did it because I see that you are doing certain forms and I try to do my form. And well, it was beautiful. So from this moment on, we call this guy architect. So all his team is very proud that he was calling an architect. And next day, he made another thing that was terrible. So we said, stop. We had to first tell us your idea, and we see how we can incorporate this idea. But everything is done in the moment, on the spot, with the concept of all the semiosis of all the beings and the form, the path forms, the thought forms, everything that is alive in the jungle participate for this process.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and most of the hotels that are built around the Tulum are luxury resorts. Like building these hotels resulted catastrophic on the town and its delicate ecosystem as trees are cut down to build these resorts. In contrast, you tried to build an eco-friendly resort. And could you talk to us about how AZULIK is trying to save Tulum?
Well, I think that what happened in Tulum is not different what happened everywhere. And we are creating problems here. And we have to go down to here, to the heart, to find solutions. So our goal as a tribe is to take the man out of the cave, because physically and conceptually we're living in caves. And we think that living outside and reconnect with the nature is a dream, it's a fantasy. But the fantasy is living the cave, because the dream now has become a nightmare, especially in the coronavirus times. Everybody feels how horrible the cave is, and things will go worse, because with the retrofitting that will cost $7 trillion just in the state, and another 9 trillions to make the grid of Internet of Things. But the people doesn't want to live anymore in a cave. The caves are becoming ugly. And the G generation 22% of them want to leave the cities. 50% of the millennials want to leave the city. 8% of the boomers want to leave the city. We are arriving to the tipping point where the people doesn't want to live anymore in a city. And we have all the technology to become nomadic. So we want to get out of the cave and become nomadic as we were before, because if you have a backpack of technology where you can bring you electronic and technological thing that you can display anywhere, and you fly with your drone that is already available, and in case you are very rich, you can have many Sherpas carrying more and more backpacks of technology, but you can move from one place to the other, because now in the East Coast, perhaps will be not livable because of the rising of the sea. In the West Coast, you are fired. In Australia, you are fired. In Amazonia, you are fired. Where is the place you will select for live in a permanent way? There is not a place. But if you can move, and according to the Pentagon, for example, we will have in 20 years, 500 million people displaced. And in 30 years, counting from now, we will have 1 billion people displaced. Well, these people will have a leader. This will be a problem for everybody else. Pentagon says that they don't have the ideas or the money, and they don't offer any solution for this problem. So this is our problem. So I think that the mobility of these people, giving them technological devices to produce and even ancestral technologies to work with the hands, like all the artisan, but the possibility of move that they keep us, as well as the tourism. We think that the tourism could be the sustainable way to develop the nomadism that will be inevitable. So we are committed to build 1 or 2 hotels, nomadic hotels. We're working one in Amazonia that will be hanging from the tree, one hotel, or will be floating, but the idea is that they can be moved from one place to another, that in the same way that the cultures of the Amazonia move from one place to the other, that perhaps keep an impact to the place for some years, they move to another place, so the nature can recover. So I think this is the inevitable future, and the architecture have the responsibility of the sacred responsibility. O sea, architecture, like art, the first 2 letters, A-R, of architecture and of art, means put together was not together. O sea, put together. And so this means reconnect with all the parts who form this is the sacred way, or the secret bridge to the sacred, to the origin, to the origin of everything. So this is what we have to do. We have to reconnect with life and make things in harmony and co-creation and elevation for all the beings, because the beings in the nature and the nature itself is waiting for us. O sea, we are part of the nature.
Yes, perfect. And you talked about nature. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that you've talked about nature a lot, and you have some kind of love for nature. Where does this love come from? I mean, do you have any memory or any respect? What is the reason?
Well, the nature, all the symbiosis that all the animals in the nature produce, that you hear the reaction of every animal, of every impulse, create a lot of information that makes, for example, the people in a tribe to know what will be the next day for, because they get all the information of all the animals. And the same is in our case, no? For example, in our museum, we don't modify the form of the floor. We don't cut the trees. The only difference from outside is that we don't have mosquitoes. I remember one day a kid asked me, I don't understand he was in my dining room. We are inside or we are outside. So this is the better accomplishment I ever received, because we have to, this is the interface to go from the cave to outside. So back to the
Yes.
museum. The museum respect the form that the nature built over 1,000,000 years with a purpose, with an intelligent purpose, because the nature is an intelligent system, sustained with the mycelium that has a surface
Exactly.
twice and a half of the land, of the earth. So this mycelium that connect and help the communication and the sending the nutrients, calcium, phosphorus to one tree to the other, all this intelligent system create this form with a purpose. We as humans are pattern recognizers. So we recognize pattern all the time. So if you go into one of our museums, you have to go barefoot. You are walking in different textures, following the path the nature create. Where was water in the place, we remain. We have water still, so we maintain the exactly element in the same position. So when you walk this, you repattern yourself with this system, and the energy follow the form, and the form, according to physical quality, create the function. So the people reconnect with the purpose of nature when they walk there. What happened in the practical things when the people arrive in the museum? They have to take the shoes off. They start walking there. The forms are something that they have not seen normally in the experience.
Yes.
They are enjoying the adventure of walking. They see fire, they see water, they see trees, and there are cushions, and they can lie there. So they feel comfortable. They don't see the piece of contemporary art as in any museum. 99% of the people who went to the museum don't understand anything, or they feel aggression from the art, the people who are not in training of the art. And finally, they go to the bookstore and they buy something so they don't feel so bad, no? But in this case, the people feel comfortable. So they come again with the friends, and they chat, and they sit there, and they feel comfortable. And after 2 or 3 times, they start paying a look of a piece of art. And as they are relaxed and they are comfortable, they don't feel the aggression from the piece of art. They start making a relationship with the piece of art. And then suddenly, slowly by slowly, they start making a connection, because the purpose of art is to connect with the sacred. So it's an human necessity. So they start having this connection with the art.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great point that you mentioned, how to like some kind of removing boundaries between the outside space and the inside space. And while you're sitting inside, I don't know, you don't feel like inside, and you feel like you're also outside as well. You see a mosquito comes inside, and I think that's a great point that you mentioned that. And about the museum that you talked, I think it's great points that you're mentioning, that it's when you go inside the museum, you should feel like the art belongs to you. Or that's great. That's awesome. Thanks. And you mentioned that you're a self-taught architect, right?
I beg your pardon?
You mentioned that you are a self-taught architect, right?
Well, about that, I'm not an architect. I never studied architecture, and until
But
4
they
years
call you
ago.
architect, right?
Sorry?
But you are called as an architect, right?
Yes, I'm not. And until 4 years ago, I have any
Yes.
interest from the architecture. But an obstacle happens 4 years ago, that I want to build. As long as I have no money to hire architect, I have to do something in architecture, but without any emotion. So I want to make a dome to play Tibetan bowls inside. And the government doesn't give me the opportunity to build that. So I say, well, how I can do something that with acoustic conditions using the traditional materials that we have in Tulum? Because if we do a palapa, it won't be acoustic conditions.
Yes.
So, and I think, well, if I put the 6 around one form, that this is the most ancient form of divinity, 6 circles around one circle, 50 feet in the height, and we put from there the trunks down because are not straight. I can do from down to top because it's very difficult to find without a laser system a point in the space. So how we will do it? So I will go build top to down. So I say my people who work with me, who have any training, we will build a building top to down. And everybody laughed, of course, and say, this is not possible to build. You have to build so down to top. And in this moment, these obstacles changed my life because I said, why not? We will build, and we will do building top to down. So the experience was amazing, and everybody was laughing, everybody was enjoying the adventure of build something top to down. When so they start asking for what next, and say, how do you will cover the structure? And I say, I don't know. This is a problem for later. So the problem start growing because everybody have an expectation and say how we will cover. I don't know. I have no idea. But I am very busy building the structure. Finally, when the moment comes, I ask, what is very cheap in the jungle? What is the material that nobody use? And there are some sticks. I say, well, bring a lot of these sticks, we will cover it. But yes, but the rain will go through. And I say, well, this is a problem for later. Let's see what we will do later. So this process, I will give you another example that we are building time ago a house in the jungle with some complex structure of concrete. So one day I arrived there and there was a hole in the wall. And I asked the people, why do you do this hole there? And say, dude, this will be the entrance to get into the house. And say, no, but this is a problem for later. Yes, but how you will get into the house? I don't know. I don't care now. This is for later. Yes, but how will be the roof? I don't know how the roof will be. This is a problem for later. So when we arrive on top, we design the roof. And the door, so we, in this case, we found a place in the roof 10 meters high. So you access this house at 10 meters high through a bridge.
Yes.
And you go down in and out of the house twice until you arrive to the bottom. And in the bottom was a pool. So the house was completely different to any house you can do. In one situation, some time ago, Etherwick come to have dinner in my home. And he saw a door and he said, how you design this door? How you get your idea for? He said, I don't get an idea. I never have idea. I just put the door in an impossible place. So I have to find a unique solution. When you appreciate the problems as the masters and you feed them and you nurture them and you let it grow and grow and grow, you need a unique solution finally to resolve the big problem. So, but this is not only in architecture. It happened to us in the last 6 months that we can do hotellery, we can do architecture, everything is closed, and we're producing inside this process of this situation is impossible. How we will resolve this situation? This is a great gift. So in this moment, when you are facing an irresolvable problem, this is a great opportunity to let born an idea, take you out of the equation and let something amazing happen, because it's always an idea waiting the opportunity to live. But you can't produce this idea because you are full of rotten ideas from before. So it's like when you people normally we study and we read, but the people who perhaps create great piece of art, they create it not because they read and study in YouTube, but because they in some moment they connect with the origin. For example, the leaves, the under part of a leaf is where the oxygen pours, blow. All life is possible because of the oxygen that is produced in the under part of a leaf. So if you touch a leaf with humility, you don't only will get in contact with the origin of oxygen, you will be in contact with the blow of life. And then an idea and all the information that is in the matrix of knowledge of nature could come out and give you solutions, but not only for architecture, for everything. So if you are studying and applying and working with ideas of the past, perhaps the people who do that was in a connection with the nature or with the source. But perhaps there was some interference that we had a little when we start the conversation. Perhaps there was little interference and the signal is not very good, and what you receive is not exactly what is produced for the source. So if you can go directly to the source, is where you will get the truth.
Exactly.
So this is the process.
Yes, exactly. And you're mostly using vernacular and local materials in projects like AZULIK, and I think you talked about the museum as well. You're using local materials. What is how do you analyze and how do you choose these materials to use in your projects?
Well, anytime we will do something, we promise ourselves that we won't use a technique or a solution we have do before. So we never know what will be the next materials. We now are exploring in different materials, and this is one of our initiatives that we develop. We have 20 different initiatives. One is to develop materials, new application, new building systems. Yes. So we never know what we will use, but for example, we use the vines that never used it before, just in baskets, but very rarely in the area. I never see a basket do with the vines or from here, but now everybody started using it. That we use in the floors, in the walls, and now we are using in the windows. So and we use it because it's we don't
eco-friendly.
Yes, we don't cut the root of the plant. We only cut the branches of the vine, so the vine continues living. So we are just using we never know what will be the next, because we had the experience, fortunately, that in the instant, with humility, taking ourselves out of the equation, saying thanks to the big problem we are facing, we try to born something new. So this is the process. So we don't know, in different situations, the challenge is different. For example, in Tulum, the challenge was that the animals in the coast are the problem, that everybody make the houses from in the floor, and they interrupt the passing of the animals and the movements of the water. So we make everything over palafitos, so the animals can grow, can move under the constructions. Yes. So in Umay, where we are building now, the challenge is different, because we are doing things over the jungle, in between the jungle, but the challenge is don't cut any living plant that is a diameter bigger than that. So we have to adapt to everything. Even a little branch like that crossing, we have to respect it. So we are incorporate ourselves in this system, and it's so beautiful, because the nature is very practical, intelligent system, and they don't make anything that is not for a purpose. So as I say, that the trees go across the building and make the branches outside and get the chlorophyll. But inside, in the dark, they make leaves for what? And I think that they make it to start a relationship with that, to say, hey, here we are, how are you? And so we are all the time having the opportunity to reconnect with the nature and get this info. I think, I really think that this is the only way that we can survive on this planet. Because if we don't take the oxygen for the leaf, we have any opportunity to survive. So the nature is a survival. But beside that, if you see a fox in the jungle jumping with a beautiful fur, or you see a crow with amazing feathers, where they get these medicines, where they get their food to be in so healthy way.
Nature.
And why us, that are another animal of the jungle, we can't? You know that alchemically, one of the best, the worst heroes we make is stop peeing in the nature, in the jungle. When you pee in the jungle, the myceliums read you pee and produce the plant you need for your health. In the same way that they produce transmit the carbon or the phosphorus or the calcium to one place to the other, because you are another animal that have to survive. Because originally we live in the nature and we receive everything we need from the nature. So if we have this opportunity to reconnect, and changing a little the subject that comes to my mind now that we're talking about that in Amazonia, for example, when somebody wants to marry, they call their friend and say, tomorrow night will be my wedding party, you are invited, but please come in the morning. So 20 friends or something like that comes in the morning and they build a house. They build a house, in the night they was the wedding dinner, and after next morning he wake up in his house, already paid, and with his new wife. When we went to get married, we spent 4 months planning the wedding party, another 20 years paying for the house, then we split and we start again. So this is what doesn't work anymore. O sea, we make things complex here, but here things are very simple. I live a year in Amazonia learning with the shaman for the plants, and I never was so happy. I need anything, and I have anything. And the rich people are the Indians that every day are giving me a bracelet or a collar or all the time they are producing things and giving to me. And I can produce anything because I don't have the wisdom of the hands. So in the future, the people who have the wisdom of the hands will be very important in this transition, in this reconnection with the nature, in the nomadic way of life, in our adapting to different ecosystems, to live in the sea, to produce under the level of the sea our plants. But we have to move. We have to open. We can't find the solution here. We have to go down.
Yes. Perfect. Very inspiring and brilliant. Thank you. I'm just asking a question from one of our audiences who is stated, let me just show it up on the screen. Just 1 second. Aluvila asks, what made Roth to choose timber and concrete for his construction in Tulum in a functional and aesthetic perspective?
Well, as long as we can go into the jungle with a truck with concrete, we developed a new way of use concrete, and this was what the challenge was and what we enjoying. We enjoy the idea of make an artisanal way of concrete that is more resistant, that we can do special forms with the concrete, but we are evolving. We are thinking in another materials. An idea is the next building, all of them will be used different materials. We don't think that the concrete is the best material, but in this moment, with the resources we have at hand, is what we want to explore. But we will continue developing different materials. I think that we are very limited for thousands of years using the same system of building, and we can do another system of building. And we are especially interested in the new materials and in the new fabrics that can do things that can we pack it and that allow us to move with.
Yes. Awesome. What inspires you, dear Russ?
Sorry?
What inspires you?
Nature. Nature.
What
Give all the little things I know for the nature.
I mean, in your daily life, when you're designing anything, it's just one nature, right?
I don't hear you very clear.
I mean, in your daily life, you are inspired by nature.
Yes, I embrace trees every day, and I
Hmm.
spend time with trying to get. I make an exercise. I will tell you a story. This
Yeah,
is it will take 5 minutes or something like that to tell the story. I don't
it's
think we have
okay.
time enough,
We
but
have time enough.
perhaps could be useful for the people. In one situation, circumstances, 8 months ago, something like that, we have a group calling Data Garden that make art in art level in museums. They make through a algorithm music from plants. As I have been a year taking sacred plants, I know that the plant has an infinite knowledge. So some basic things that they can make music, that the plant is alive and have say vibration that you produce music, doesn't make excitement to me. But I have to go
Hmm.
to this meeting with people in our museum. I went there. I have a short schedule of time because I have another appointment, and I am absolutely without any expectation. And they start with the breathing, holotropic breathing that take, and I have done this before, so don't believe in that. I breathed 5 minutes, and something amazing happened in this moment. I start seeing that for first time in my life, all the plants I have died in my life before, they
Hmm.
ask me a question, and they say, "Is the goal set?" And I say yes. And in this moment, I understand that the only thing I want to do is be the channelize the forms of the plant that I dreamed.
Yes,
But for the
yes,
first time, I saw this form with colors because the plants show me the sexual organs of the plants are the flowers. And the flowers normally have full of colors. And my architecture until now is without color. And when I see these amazing forms and with colors that I have never seen before, I say, wow, what a gift. And how I get in contact with that? Because I can never do that alone. I never have this experience before or have the contact of all the plants teaching me at once. I am not dreaming. I am not under the influence of some sacred plant. How this happened? And from this moment on, I start seeing that it's very easy to get this contact. If you just take a plant and you touch leaves, and with humility, you try
hmm
to get the inspiration of this plant for whatever you need, it's possible to receive information that is floating there.
yes, yes. I'll show another question from one of our audience. Do you ever
Go ahead.
thought about doing some of your architecture in Brazil?
Yes, we already are working in Amazonia. We have a group
Oh,
of
you have
volunteers.
projects in Brazil.
Not exactly in Brazil, but we are doing in Peru, in the limit with Brazil and
Hmm.
Bolivia. And
Yes,
we have friends that have protecting an area of the Unicunis in Brazil, buying land to protect the uncontacted tribes there. And we are in touch with different groups in Amazonia that we want to develop project together. So if the people who question that is interested in do something in Brazil, please contact us. We are willing. We think that save as fast as we can. 1 hectare of Amazonic jungle capture more carbon than 40 hectares of planting trees. So the solution is not planting a billion trees, as somebody says.
yes,
The solution is to protect the jungle. This is because the
yes,
jungle is 40 times, but this is only in the capture object. But all the knowledge of all the wisdom, all the medicines that is in the Amazonia we have to protect it in any way.
yes. What do you think about, like, if you want to expand your ideas of using nature as a source of inspiration and concept in your projects? What will you do when you get any project inside of a desert, like Saudi Arabia or Sahara? What you're gonna
you know
build?
something.
I'm interested in that. What you're gonna build?
Well, actually, we are exactly in this situation because we are making a project in the desert, and
Oh,
when we go to the
I'm
desert,
just right on the spot.
when we go to the desert, in an area of
I mean,
four
not
hundred
well,
hectares.
desert has its own beauty and its own ecosystem. Desert is a
Yeah,
part
yes.
of nature as well. It does because it
No,
doesn't
but
have tree. It
the
doesn't.
nature, the plant, there was one tree in 400 hectares. We connect with
Yes,
the tree. But one day when we was there, a little rain for 20 minutes fall, and
yes,
a lot of flowers born in the instant, o sea, in an hour, in 2 hours, the little flowers appear in the desert. So the nature is there and is waiting. And many people do marvelous in the desert, stimulating the nature. But the mycelium cover the desert also and cover under the sea. So the matrix is connecting everything. So
hmm
we can learn from the nature, and we can help the nature. This help is we can help, not interrupt the process of nature everywhere.
yes. We should send you to Mars to build over there natural stuff.
Well,
Yes.
I never been there.
Nobody been there. Awesome. Awesome. And you've talked about art as well. I want you to ask how you are connecting art with nature in your project.
uh,
Because combining these two is not such an easy work. And with the these days materials like with concrete, stone, these stuff, and bringing nature and art together and showcasing your project is quite difficult, which you're doing good and well on that. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Well, I just hear words isolated because I have interference. I only hear art, nature,
Yes.
because it's what I think. Our three pillars are
Yes.
art,
Just talk
nature,
about them.
ancestry, and the first object doing by man was not a weapon, was not a tool, was a piece of art. The Tuntun Virgin
Yes.
between 100,000 years ago, men are creating art because
Yes.
intuitively, I don't know, always is intuitively, they know that this is a way to connect with the origin, with the sacred. So these are our three pillars, no? Art, ancestry, and nature. And
Yes.
the tree has the same goal, is the
hmm
connected with the sacredness, with the origin. And because the shamans in the ancestral communities looking for that, the art has the goal to be the bridge, and nature is the bridge and is the source. So
Yes.
this is our point of. We are built over these three columns.
Yes. So after building these projects, what is the future that you see? Like, what is the a good future for that Roth sees for the planet, or I don't know, for a certain area for the city?
Again, I hear cities. I hear what is the future for
Yes.
the future for us, or for what is what we will be
What
our
kind of
future.
what kind of future you are planning, like for
Okay.
cities, for your projects? What is
Well,
your imagination about that?
our next goal is in personal own project is in Amazonia. We are still building here in Umay, and we have some client, and we will work abroad. But our dear project, because it's so personal, is Amazonia. In Amazonia, we don't want to go with all ideas and concept and build something that impose an old idea to a fresh in a place. So we send an architect that is working with volunteer people. They have to plan to survive. They have to
Yes.
deal with communities. In some cases, they with a harrow and arcs, and they in some cases they kidnapping some of the people of our group, and we have to go to rescue them. So we have to deal with the community and keep something in a chain. So we started having a relationship, and we are seeing what, because we have an idea, hanging
Yes.
hotel or floating hotel. But we don't know what really will happen, because this is like my dream. I have a dream and I want to push in reality, but the dream is not for this moment, perhaps for another moment. So our idea in Amazonia is our idea, but what will be born there is what is really important. What will happen? And this idea could happen, the idea could be perceived by the volunteer, can be perceived by the people of the community. In a meeting, the people meditate together there. They start interchange knowledge of the ancient tradition with the new technology. In the future, we hope that we can help. This is our goal. Particularly in the Amazonia, there are 1,000 communities of chipivos, and we want to help them in make pools to grow fishes, so they don't have to take the fishes of the river who are polluted, and make greenhouses so they have a variety and they don't have to burn the jungle every year, and make a garden of plants of the, so they don't lose the tradition of the shamans to grow and learn and use the sacred and the healing plants of the Amazonia. This is our goal. And we think our idea is to invite volunteer people using green energy by drones, help the, it's not help, it's give the chance of these communities to continue with the healthy and wisdom they have, learn from them, and share some white technologies with them, so our young people can learn from these communities and together grow a new wave of living.
Yes. Yeah, very inspiring. And as closing, what kind of advice would you like to share with young generation, with students, with young professionals?
Well, I have no doubt what will be my advice, and I hope that I don't offend anybody or trespassing some boundaries. But
Yes.
I think that, as William Blake says, when the door of perception will be open, people will see things as they really are,
Mm-hmm.
infinite. And in my experience, this is my personal experience, is that through sacred plants, through the experience of take sacred plants, die the sacred plant with respect, with the shamans, you can learn something that is very important in this time, because we want to resolve the things here. We only create problems here. So we need to be in touch with a formula, with a way to reconnect. And so I will say that taking ayahuasca and taking sacred plants is a very fast way to reconnect, and we don't have time now. It's legal to have this experience in the Amazonia. These plants are legal, and
Right.
there are a lot of opportunities to, because the people now are completely in the relation with the nature doesn't exist anymore, and you have to reconnect, because all the knowledge and all the solution to living and save the planet are in the nature. So as the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind, and is coming from the leaves. So
Yes.
be in touch with the leaves.
Yes, perfect, perfect. Really awesome and inspiring. I really enjoyed it. And thank you so much for joining to this live session and talk. And it was brilliant. Looking forward to more interviews as well. And thanks
Okay.
for joining.
Okay. Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you, everybody,
Thank
to
you.
listen and be in touch. Please write to us with
Of
suggestions,
course.
ideas.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank
We'll
you.
be in
Thank you
touch.
so much.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this live session. I hope you enjoyed it. We're looking forward for more interviews like this. Till another day, another interview. Stay safe and stay healthy. Goodbye.